Thank you for staying till the last panel, which is, very nice. I'm Enrica Landolfi. I work in HSBC. I'm responsible for the ABS in the continent and for structured finance, including NPL in the continent and in Italy. HSBC has been very active in financing large portfolios of NPL throughout Europe. I would say that Italy has been quite a slice of our business. And today we were, unfortunately, two of our panelists couldn't make it for some, they had issues. So we have Alberto and Elena that are with us today. Alberto, if you want to introduce yourself, Elena.
I'm Alberto Capizzano. I'm from Italy again, from Illimity Bank, which is a startup, a new bank born just 3 years ago. I'm responsible for operation, data, and analytics. And as such, I'm contributing to building up the whole infrastructure, the models, the technologies that are needed to follow the business flow end to end. So from the very beginning, the pre-screening, the gathering of the data from the data room through the whole process to pricing, due diligence, and then servicing, and finally remarketing of the assets.
Though it's a startup, I can say, from my perspective, that Illimity has proved to be a successful story so far.
Yeah, we are an unicorn.
Yeah, they have run the business very, very fastly, and you probably have heard of them. So it's not because they are possibly a client, but it's true that they have done quite a successful story. I follow them because I'm interested to this kind of reality. Elena, would you like to give us an idea of your company, what you do?
Yeah, exactly. I'm Elena Banopra. I'm representing APS Holding today. I'm the head of business systems and analytics. I'm basically the person who actually implements whatever new technologies within the business line as debt recovery. Basically, whenever a new country appears within APS Holding, or whenever the business changes, because we know that this market is is consistently changing and so on, I am adapting our core system that is actually used in all our 9 active countries in order to meet the business need, and actually I'm going with the same solution implemented in all the countries. So beside the business systems, I'm also in charge of the analytics. So basically I'm foreseeing that all the developments within the system for the business line have to actually meet the standards of the data analysis. So whenever we are implementing whatever new, we make sure that in the future, and not only in the following 3 months, but also in 10 years from now, we will be able actually to retrieve the data in the same structure and in the same way that the data is compliant and makes sense.
So the reason why I said that we have 2 speakers missing is that either you do questions or we finish before. So because the questions either come from the audience or we would finish before. So starting from Elena, as you don't mind, and that would you expand a bit on what you were actually saying on the platform that you have implemented, and how those platforms, what are they, and how the way they work, and how they help you in improving your capability to recover corporate portfolios and to help you in the pricing. So what are the drivers of this platform in your activity?
You are referring to the real estate
Yes.
platforms, exactly. Well, the corporate portfolios, we know that they are secured by consistent assets, consistent collaterals, that actually, even though the process takes quite a time comparing with a retail client, at the end of the day, it will get the value. So in order actually to get to this value, for sure you need to be linked to some real estate platforms, such as a platform, an internal platform, where you are posting all your assets for commercial purposes, and in the same time you are logging there not only, let's say, the selling process, but also whatever comes before making that property sellable. So in our days, having access to data and actually getting to data will increase the strength of any entity. Doesn't matter if we're talking about debt recovery or whatever kind of business. If you have access to data, the more the better, the more consistent the better, for sure. This will guarantee your success. So these real estate platforms help us a lot in order to understand the market, in order to actually be able to do a forecast whenever we want to acquire a corporate portfolio, or whenever we have already we are already working out a corporate portfolio and we want to get the best value of it. So I wouldn't exclude the real estate platforms. They are suitable not only for acquisition, but also they are granting your success.
Right. In Illimity, I understand that the IT solutions is actually starting up as well. And maybe given that you are starting up, what are your considerations, the main drivers of this starting up? What are the concerns, the issues that you think are really relevant as an investor?
Well, in Illimity, we have just started, no? So we are building a new platform. We are building by ourselves a new platform because within the key driver to build an architecture, to build any model, to build whatever methodologies behind is the value that can bring to the business flow. No? So if you have clear in mind all the phases of the business in the NPL, you understand very quickly that the data and the methodology and the models that are needed for each one of the pieces to support, to create value for due diligence are quite different from the one that are used for pricing or to deploy the collection strategy or the remarketing of the assets. So we are building an architecture, an ecosystem of models, a complex ecosystem of models based on state-of-the-art architecture, state-of-the-art technologies such as AI, machine learning, in order to consistently provide to each piece of activity within the business flow the maximum value. The key issue.
An example?
For example, in due diligence, we saw before a presentation, which is what we are actually doing currently for due diligence. In the due diligence process, you have legal data, you have tons of documents to read, you have tons of valuable information to extract for all the borrowers in a portfolio. When you are analyzing a portfolio of thousands of names, different names, in a short time frame, this work cannot be done manually. Simply cannot be done manually. So you need. So basically, you need to speed up the process, to analyze in deep details all the documents and extract accurate data. And in this process, due diligence process, AI is very important.
So you're using the natural
natural language
NLP.
processing and NLP. We are using unsupervised and supervised learning. We have different models for different documents, and we are extracting this data to use it and to provide pricing with a consistent framework. But the key problem in using this technology is that normally they belong from general purpose pre-trained algorithms. So it's not yet specific for each kind of document. So there is a need of massive training of such algorithms using a lot of data points, lots of documents, and lots of effort on our side in order to make them grow, learn, and extract the real data that we need in an accurate way. The performances of such algorithms decay very fast from one portfolio to the next one. If you don't touch the algorithm and that you use it for a portfolio and you use to the next, you cannot be sure that all the outcomes are the same. Just because a standard in contracts, a standard in valuation, real estate valuation, does not exist, at least in Italy. So the documents are different one from the next, and you need to analyze in deep any particular kind of document to use such algorithms.
I see. One question comes by listening to you, which is for both of you, really. It's not agreed. So it's what, I understand that the value for you, in your words, is basically efficiency and cost reduction. All this is basically, those are the drivers. You, Elena, you are in so many countries. You cover lots of countries. Would you agree with this? Are those two the values for you, or you have other values?
Not only these two. Not only these two, because there are a few more things that I would consider whenever implementing or developing from the scratch a new system. Doesn't matter, let's say the subline of business. But I would add here the user experience, the interface that is excellent.
So the user-friendly.
Yeah. It's unfortunately, we tend to focus more on the technical part. We tend to focus more on the technology, but somehow we forget that that product will be actually the framework that will be used by the users, because you will always have a team that is working for your business. So we tend to forget about it, and this is a big mistake. It's very important to have a user-friendly interface. It's very important for that interface not to be overwhelming. Instead of having 10 clicks for an action, you should have 1 or 2. This is actually the maximum that should happen there. Beside the user experience, there is one more aspect, and it's referring to the scalability of the system. Meaning, if I'm building right now a system, I have to make sure that the logic on which that system is based should be applicable and actual also in 10 years from now. So whenever I'm thinking about a solution, I should foresee it, and not only, although in systems development is way much easier to go with some workarounds and solve the issue that you have right now, but think about in the future. So spend a bit more in business analysis and make a solution that is scalable, because whenever the business changes, and we know for sure that this business is very dynamic, you will not have to build the system from the scratch or alter it.
So adaptability to the development of the business.
Exactly.
Would you agree?
Yeah, but I would also add that the final purpose, the real purpose about the development, the technology is to make things easier and faster, to allow what now is not possible to do, no? To allow doing something that is not possible yet to do.
So the target, what you think is going to be? I mean, I know there is no target that we can go over and over, but, you know, the possible target now for you?
I see that, you know, the path is clear. I see the pattern is clear. The more the technology becomes sophisticated, widely used, widespread between asset buyers, the timing of the transaction is going to be reduced, you know, because now for a large portfolio, it can take months for a transaction to occur.
Yeah.
You know, tomorrow it can take weeks, and we can arrive at some point to trade the NPL in one day, because we standardize when AI, machine learning will be inside all the buyers and widely used at any level of the workflow, the due diligence, we will speed up and reduce costs in the process, and I guess we will go to overnight trading of NPL.
Yeah, there is in all the fields, wherever you go, it's how efficiency equals to fastness, velocity in any environment, not only in finance, in NPL, wherever you go, even if you go talk about beauty or whatever, if you're fast, you are efficient. This is something that is really becoming spread all over. One thing that that I was considering, Elena, is the investors. Would they look at servicing platforms, or they would rather look at the IT solutions? What's your take on this?
They would look at both, because you have IT solution. The IT solution is actually a base on which is built a servicing platform, so they cannot go separately. And the investor, the main goal for the investor is actually to recover their investment. But we have noticed that in the past years, the investors are more interested in finding out which are the tools that are used by the servicer in order to get to the end goal. And since you mentioned that we are moving fast, we want everything to happen faster and faster. In order to get to a break-even as soon as possible, you need some strong systems that can help you to automate all the processes, all the strategies recovery strategies that you might have to record all the data related to the actions that you are doing in a structured way in order to be able to do the reporting and also to use it further for forecasting, and also to make sure from IT perspective that you are counting on a secure platform. Because with all the phishing attacks from the last period, we have to be more and more careful that the data is secured, and not accessible to the third parties. That shouldn't be.
And Alberto, you said you are starting up with this IT architecture. So what did they tell you to do? I mean, when do you have to hand over some result? What's the time frame you have been given?
Well, we have actually 28 projects running in parallel to deliver 28 projects running in parallel, and we are not 28 working on those projects. So the timeline is 1 year. The ambition is to finish everything in 1 year, and by the end of the year, the final target for ourselves is to deliver an automatic due diligence, to deliver an automatic pricing of a large portfolio, a medium-large portfolio. No, so basically we are employing all the best-in-class technology that we see on the market, and we are embedding all such algorithms at any point of the chain in order to achieve this result. So we want, basically, given the data room, deliver a non-binding offer pricing in a week, non-binding, so that after due diligence we can adjust and we can relax and find the correct price for the whole portfolio.
Lately, I was reading that the ECB have many times invited banks to be innovative, to find systems to make the process quicker and to find the innovative solution. But this has been a bit part of you, I mean, that you are doing well. I see that the European banking system is a bit, I would say, you know, is struggling in being fastly and innovative. What's your take on this? Are you considering the same? Because this is what I understood.
Well, the big advantage of Illimity to being a startup is that we come from without any legacy. So we build from scratch. And this is, of course, an advantage of being agile in developing, and because otherwise we would hire 22,000 people and do the job the same way other banks are doing, no? So being small, being a startup, it's an advantage for us in this. I guess for the world banking system, the existence and the stratification of layers during the past years have created, I've looked in the technology. So they can add something, but they cannot switch overnight the way of working of the whole machine. We can do it because we are 600 up to now. We are not so many, and we can switch our mind, change technology.
Yeah, although I think that ECB was more relating to banks that have, you know, financing, deposit, so for the early warnings, the automatization of all the process, and, you know, you laugh because you know the situation. So while Illimity has a different kind of business model in compared to the traditional bank.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that this has been quite a shake for the bank, not only in Italy. My understanding also in other jurisdictions, France, for instance, Spain. So I think this is something that the pressure that it's coming down will produce effect. We shouldn't forget that the NPL market started massively after pressure of the regulator in 2017. Any question from the audience, please?
So you are the audience, the noon session was talking about, which is you are actually making decisions as to what is the technology you're going to implement. And I think Alberto just referenced what his goals are for the next 2 years. What is the new technology that you are planning to invest in over the next year?
The new technology, I mean, is not a change of the whole system. What I do expect for the next year is that the algorithms that are currently used is not another level of the technology, but will be easier to implement. The key issue to implement machine learning AI tools is the first layer of the integration, the training, labeling documents requires a lot of time, requires a lot of effort, and I guess it's not a jump in technology what is needed, but this kind of stuff, this kind of job should be more efficient, and require less human intervention. Once that we cover this, then the performance can be more accurate, and the feedback loop of all the algorithms will be working very smoothly and provide a consistent, accurate result over time and over portfolios.
Are you developing that in-house, or is that third-party tools you buy?
Well, we have a mix. We are training the algorithms in-house, basically, no? Because we need to have the controls or the performance, and so even when we buy the whole algorithm, we need to control the training and control the confusion matrix and the accuracy of the portfolio, and the accuracy of the result. We are open to enrich and enlarge the tools acquired from external sources to provide something that we are not developing right now. So it's more or less an open architecture. We are based on microservice and API, so it's easy to detach what we are building now and attach another system from an external vendor.
Hi, I got a question exactly on that topic. I mean, we discussed before the fact that when it comes down to technology, now banks either you're in technology only, or over time you will lose the progress that the industry is making. So if you're doing something right now, and in 1 year time, it is going to be something much faster, much better, much cheaper. And so a number of discussion, and also some of the industry came here, are providing just bits and pieces of technology, and only that, specializing in that. I recall, for instance, Tada was mentioning the AI for reading documents, right? CR, this kind of, they said that this is what we do. We do only that, and we do a third party, US, Europe. So, and we kind of concluded actually there's a lot of scope for somebody to concentrate on investment and to look only at investment and acquire pieces of technology outside, because it is usually cheaper, more updated, and they do a better job than you. So I want to ask you, when you were mentioning some pieces we're doing internally, some pieces you're doing externally, what is driving, two questions actually, what is driving your decision? Why am I using interlinks, or am I developing an internal VDR? And in case you're spending money, what do you do with the existing system which is doing what you're buying? And how do you evaluate the return on the investment in order to assess whether it is worth to pay the cost or not?
Okay, this is clear. So basically, when we have to decide to develop internally or externally, I agree. We go for the best-in-class technology. We are not an IT system developers or fabric. We understand how to use technology, and we use it for our purposes. So we seek on the market something that is useful for our purposes, and we buy it. And then it's a matter to link the several pieces that are needed together in order to provide pricing with the inputs they need in order to evaluate the portfolio. So when you buy a system, AI, OCR, classification, and so on, you buy a provider which is feeding some inputs for a model that is coming afterwards. The models, for example, for pricing, we developed them by ourselves. You cannot deliver or buy a pricing module from the external. This is because there is no market standard. There is no market standard to evaluate a portfolio. The cash flow model is built inside. You can use it, the third-party model, in order to benchmark the results. But you want to own the pricing module. And then for the evaluation, the return on investment, for us is pretty easy because, like I said before, Illimity has 3 years history. We just started. So in 3 years, we built the whole chain of jobs, methodology and stuff to run the business, and we are running it. And it's impossible to deliver everything by ourselves with few people inside the company. So we needed to go for external vendor and external technologies. But and in the end, the result is given by the KPI of the area. We have a standard reporting which measures for each step of the origination flow. So how long does it take to analyze the position for pre-screening and data enrichment? How long does it take to run due diligence? How long? And all those KPIs, which are based on quality, assessed by pricing and speed. It's the measurement in which the MBO is based, basically. No?
I don't know, in my experience, I also found that certain decisions are legally driven, like certain things you cannot take them from outside, you need to do it yourself. For legally reason, compliance, I'm just thinking of a cash flow model of, normal transactions, you are not supposed to outsource them. You are supposed to maybe have a validation, but you need to do it yourself. Otherwise, legal doesn't allow you. And Elena, what's your considerations on this in terms of, both the questions? What are your investments that, in the next future? And what's your driver in taking a decision, investment decisions when it comes to IT in your company, all over the places?
Yeah, first of all, we have already started investing resources in a data warehousing project because we noticed that we have tons of data, but they are not standardized, and actually we realized that we couldn't generate, let's say, a report, the standard report, to show the values for all the countries where we are active. So we have already started the investment in this. We have analyzed the data. Mostly the discrepancies are because we are active in 9 countries and the legal frame is different. The system that we are using is scalable and it allows you to configure the workflows, the processes based on the legal frame from that country. So basically what we did and what we will continue to do in the following 1 or 2 years is to try to make a matrix that will be applicable for all the countries to identify the main steps from an enforcement process, from a bankruptcy process, and actually to do the mappings on all these 9 countries in order to be able at the end of the day to press the button and to have the evolution on all 9 countries based on some same criteria. Another aspect, and actually another module that we are working on right now and we are planning to invest, is a module related to the lawyer's activity within our portfolios, because whenever you are thinking about debt recovery, we are thinking about pre-legal stage, you are thinking maybe about field, enforcement or foreclosure, or how you want to call it, and insolvency and bankruptcy. But still, there are situations when you need the lawyer support in order to continue an enforcement process, or the lawyer support in order to continue a bankruptcy process. And this is the part that we are currently missing from our production environment, and this is the next investment that we are making on. Basically, to have one system. I'm not very keen in having 100 systems, each one of those to do a thing. To have one system where, besides, let's say, the call center and the data regarding the bailiffs, to have also the interaction between the business and the lawyers.
I mean, in my experience, there is a certain hostility from lawyers to technology, so good luck with that.
Yeah. Yeah, but we are making a product
even
very
email.
user-friendly. Yeah, we noticed it in the past, but actually it depends a lot, again, on the user experience.
No, I mean, I'm a lawyer, so I can tell. Background is a lawyer. I don't do the, but you know, it's quite a discover for me was. So yeah, very interesting. See, basically, it's the communication between the recovery lawyering staff and the business.
Exactly.
If there are any other questions, I don't think so. So I think it's drinks for everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.